He gets called.
Yeah, no, he's not.
One night.
Since it is now 6 p.m., I will now call the Boquet Valley Central School District's March 26th Board of Education Budget Meeting to order. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
District vision, as a reminder to all of why we are here. The vision of the Boquet Valley Central School District is to become the best rural school in New York State. We will accomplish our vision by providing exceptional opportunities to all learners and preparing them to set and reach their future goals by embedding our core values into their student experience. Roll call. Mrs. Belzile, would you please take the roll call?
Tom Broderick.
Here.
Paige Cutter Saltamack.
I'm here.
Paul Fenton.
Here.
Darlene Hooper.
Here.
Sarah Coleman. Here. Deb Spalding. Here. Jason Welch.
Here.
Sadie Burgess. Here.
Thank you, Mrs. Belzile. Attendees, if you haven't done so already, would you please sign in so we have an accurate attendance record? The sign-in sheet is located on the table by the entrance. Thank you for your cooperation. Executive session. Specifically, the board anticipates entering into executive session for the following reasons. Number 8, to discuss the proposed acquisition, sale, or lease of real property, or the proposed acquisition, sale, or exchange of securities, but only when publicity would substantially affect the value of these things. Do I have a motion to enter into executive session to discuss item 6A?
I'll motion.
Thank you,
Second.
Paige. Second, Tom, thank you. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. We anticipate being back shortly.
Yeah, I think quick.
Okay, very shortly. We shouldn't be gone very long at all. Okay.
I pretty much covered everything here, except for I'd like to get that.
Okay, do I have a motion to
Oh, and
enter, reconvene regular session?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Paige. Second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, abstentions? Motion passes. Okay. We have returned to open session. At this time, do I have a motion regarding the SECRA notice of lead agency designation and determination of significance resolution for 7510 Court Street? Motion? That's not on yours, but I'll
Okay.
have.
Okay,
Do we?
that's why we were like,
So we have to
yes, I'll motion.
motion. We have to go through that.
Fine.
Okay. Thank you, Deb. And a second?
Second.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Any discussion on this? What we just discussed? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. At this time, do I have a motion regarding the SECRA notice of lead agency designation and determination of significance resolution for 7520 Court Street? Any motions?
All motion.
Thank you. Jason, second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Sarah. Any discussion on this? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. At this time, do I have a motion regarding the SECRA notice of lead agency designation and determination of significance resolution for 7521 Court Street? Motion?
I'll motion.
Okay, thank you, Paige. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Deb. Any discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Okay, so moving right along. Budget discussion 2026-27. Dr. Meyer, would you like to begin?
Okay, so we're going to review some of the things that we talked about last month and give you a couple updates. And we do have the legislative budget to discuss. I will open it up to Hayden if he has anything to add at any time. Feel free to jump right in. And I'll try to stop every few slides or so to see if the board has questions, but feel free to stop me if you have questions too. So reminder, budget timeline in New York State. So executive budget in January, which we received. We recently received the legislative budget. The board has not seen that yet. I will give you the highlights. And then we're hoping for an on-time budget by April 1st, which will be an agreement between those two proposals. The tax cap update from last month is basically that the numbers are not changing. We're still 4.24%. That's an increase of $363,237 for an overall levy of $8,909,741. I'm going to put the exact numbers up, but for reference, in our CDES region, the tax caps are between 0.4% and 5.95%. We're expecting one district to exceed the cap up between 12 and 15% is our most recent estimate. And we were just found out earlier today that another district was also exceeding the cap. I'm not sure, by how much.
I don't know how much they are, but the other district did determine at their board meeting last night, it'll be 12%.
12%, great, thank you. So what the tax caps look like for all of our the BOCES region districts. These are on the board, and I put these here just for reference, really for 2 points. One, just so you can see where we are in the region, and two, just to emphasize the fact that this is not a 2% tax cap, right? We say 2% tax cap, you'll notice that none of these districts, after the formula, end up at 2%. So you look at Ausable, 5.95%, that's one of our neighbors. Shazy is probably the most similarly sized district to us at 4.4. Mariah, also one of our neighbors. And then we fall in the fourth slot there, but again, this is based on the formula. Our incentive aid, as a reminder, we continue to lose $65,784 each year, and we'll continue to do so up until year 14, where we get the last amount of that money. As I mentioned, the tax levy increase is at the cap. Our employee retirement system is up a bit from 16.5 to 17.6. Teacher retirement system is down from 9.59 to 8.24. So all of that is a quick update from the last meeting. Any questions on any of that before I move to the revenue update? And there's not much here, just like I did last time. You'll see this here in the three sections. We're still looking at that $8.9 million number. A couple other sources of some local funding, but not much. And then the total state aid coming in at $6.6 million, and for a total of $16.417975. And again, that is all similar numbers to last month's meeting. Expenditure update. Hayden, do you want to talk about any changes that we had to this document?
Yeah, so only a couple changes. Since typically we get our BOCES numbers that first week of March, so obviously our February meeting, we didn't have final numbers, so those increased just a tiny bit. We're seeing a larger increase on the BOCES services because of some changes at BOCES, but we'll get to that in a later slide. But really, since last time, the other category has changed a little bit, and that's just contractual stuff that we've gotten in, but they're I did also change the bus fuel. I don't know if anyone has gone to fill up their gas tank in the last month or so. So we did prepare for a pretty substantial increase in our fuel costs. But that is really the only changes since last month.
Thank you.
Do you feel like that's substantial enough of an increase?
No. So we're going to get to this a little bit later, but since you just asked, you can see right above it, the fuels for the building is only going up 364.
Yeah.
When we get into the legislative proposal, we could potentially see a little bit more of an increase in our foundation aid. If we do, that's likely where it would have to go, because it's really tough to estimate fuel prices,
Yeah.
especially because they just increased so much. We only pay for fuel once a month. So I need to wait to get that next bill to really see how it's hitting us. We purchase fuel off of state contract. State contract updates every single week. So we get a new fuel rate every week. So I just need to see what that's doing for the month of March.
So to Hayden's point, so this is the legislative budget proposal highlights. So you haven't seen this yet, you've seen the executive, and as a reminder, they need to agree, right? So and that is often easier said than done. Sometimes they meet in the middle, other times they don't. So the executive proposed 1%, the one house, they proposed 2%. And that's what Hayden's saying. So that difference of that 2% we would put toward fuel.
What's great is both of those are less than the inflation rate.
So there's also increased funding weight, right? So every student category has a certain weight to it. English language learners are one of those categories that increases. We've never had, we've certainly had some over the years, but never like a ton that's going to really affect our formula too much, but there's some increased weight there. Same with homeless and foster care students, adding some weight there as well. And the universal pre-K expansion continues with a goal of full day pre-K for all 4-year-olds by 28-29. So that definitely does have some potential for impacting us in a positive manner, impacting our district. And the Senate also proposes transportation aid for pre-K students, and the Assembly proposes expanding funding for 3-year-old pre-K. So let me just clarify. So if it doesn't say that the Senate proposed something or the Assembly proposed something, then they both propose together. Okay, just to clarify that.
Okay. Right now, the pre-K students, we don't get aid on their transportation, but do we get aid from ACAP for that? No,
We pay ACAP.
for their transportation?
No, just in general, we pay them for pre-K services, but we
Okay,
do not have we don't have any income from them.
Okay, facilities and capital projects. So they're proposing that renewable energy projects become eligible for building aid. The Senate is proposing increased building aid for high needs districts. As a reminder, we are not a high needs district. Increasing the capital outlay limit from $100,000 to $250,000. This has been proposed a few times. This has been advocated for, I'm going to say, at least 5 years, maybe more. So as a reminder, the capital outlay, these are these little projects, $100,000 projects that are part of the budget. So we have one in the budget for this year, and increasing in for $100,000, an architect needs to be involved, right? So, and believe it or not, the architect likes to get paid when they do this work, so they eat some of that $100,000. So $100,000 doesn't go as far as it potentially could. So a $250,000 project really just gives districts in the state, it's just some more options. They can do more as part of those smaller projects. So that's a welcome change for us. We would still, even if that were to pass, we would still keep ours at 100,000 for next year, and then, excuse me, make changes in subsequent years if we decide to do that. Also looking at building aid for electric bus infrastructure and garage upgrades. And both houses would sunset, it's called Excel facilities funding in 2028. Did a little bit of research, so if our capital project were to pass, we potentially could qualify for Excel funding. It's just a little bit of extra funding from the state. We would need to get something approved before 2028. It doesn't need to be built before 2028, it needs to be approved before 2028.
I got one question. The elevator over in the main, is any money been put aside to get that repaired? I guess it's in it needs some type of repair to it?
So I do not believe that is part of the capital outlay, at this time.
It wouldn't be.
Yeah.
Is there any plan in the budget for that for this year?
So I know that the elevators are part of the capital project renovations, for the bigger project. And, if that goes through, and maybe the elevator doesn't last long enough, we need to fix it prior to that, then we can take steps to do that if needed, but hopefully it can, wait until the capital projects we can get aided. If we were to do it now, we would be paying just out of pocket with no aid on the backside of that.
We have a monthly service contract with Otis.
And it's currently working. Yeah. Oh, it is working.
Okay, all right.
Okay, then the library materials are jumping from 625 to 1133, which is almost double,
Wow.
which is great. So I think we get about $12,000, and we get $20,000.
That's all.
Yeah,
Even if it goes to 7.
Yep.
That's awesome.
yeah, it's a good jump. Increase in the career and technical aid ceiling. So again, that's good. So a lot of this is not huge for us, but it all adds up, right? Both houses restored teacher center funding. So again, that doesn't necessarily help the district directly, but like the North Country Teacher Resource Center at Plattsburgh State, that would be something that would get their funding. And both houses expand farm to school reimbursement, so that's great. Senate calls for funding to support special education services to age 22. The Assembly would eliminate the backlog of prior year aid claims, and community schools funding increase. Senate, so it's a slight difference here. Senate is at 105 and the Assembly is at 100 million for that. Also additional funding for civics, education, AP exam fee waivers, dyslexia and dysgraphia center, graduation measures implementation, and climate education and financial literacy. Which is great. These are, so some of those have been mandated. Climate education and financial literacy have been mandated by the state and effectively have been unfunded mandates. So this would give us some funding for that. So I would say nothing huge there, but it all adds up, and we'll see what they agree on. And then you may have heard the issues with Tier 6 for any of you that were teachers in the New York State teacher retirement system. They've been calling to fix Tier 6 for a while now, and they are looking at possible changes such as lowering the contribution rates, earlier retirement options, and adjustments to overtime calculations. But none of that is in the final budget language yet, but those are the proposals.
Please.
Yeah.
I have to do 42 years because I'm a Tier 6 member.
How many years do you have in?
3.
Good luck with the other 39.
I'm
Yep.
sorry.
No, that's not even.
I'm
fair.
42 is the
I'm probably gonna be there with you for different reasons.
Yeah, it's gonna.
You have a big calendar.
So a lot of days to count down.
Any questions on the legislative update before moving on? Okay, so I just want to say it one more time. So none of that means anything until there's an agreement. And again, hopefully, it doesn't seem that both parties are as far apart as they have been in previous years. Doesn't mean anything, but I'm hoping that means that we can get an on-time budget. Just makes, planning is just a little bit easier for us on our end when there is an on-time budget. Okay, health insurance rates. Health insurance is one of the biggest costs for the district, probably number 2, probably behind salaries. If you take a look, our Platinum Plan 2, the cost for a family plan is $36,888. That's a 3% increase. The individual plan is $14,174, 3% increase. Medicare primary, 0%, staying at $10,669. for and all of our active members are on Platinum Plan 2. Currently no actives on Platinum Plan 1. You'll see that one is more expensive and is $48,760. 6% increase there, 6% increase on the individual plan at $18,735. And again, no increase on the Medicare primary. That one's $11,931.
Quick question, you say no current actives. Could someone become an active one at this point?
No. But up until, was it this year or last year, other districts, they still were allowing some actives, but the consortium has closed that up.
Okay.
Workers' comp is down from 59,946 to 58,147, so moderate decrease there, 3% decrease. Our fund balance projections, hey, you want to walk through this while I grab a drink? Great.
Yeah, so obviously fund balance is decreasing. That is mainly due to the moves that we did, I believe, at the November board meeting, November or October. I definitely want to stress the projected part. This will change. I typically find if we ever have surprise purchases or surprise repairs, they typically come in the spring.
An elevator.
We're monitoring the pumps right now. I do know that at any moment could happen. So that is why it's definitely projected, and we will see that change. And then part of that too, we have some upcoming retirements. So typically around that time, I'll look at, can the budget support those retirements, or do we need to pull money from the employee benefit reserve? I usually don't do that till first week of June. So we check that. There's a lot that goes into just that unallocated fund balance. It affects everything. It affects our entire financial situation. So there's a lot of math that goes into it. The nice part about unallocated fund balance is as soon as we hit July 1, it takes me 2 seconds to calculate it. It's just the projection part that goes into it. So July 1, I click a button and it's, here you go. This is what you got. So we'll see some changes. We'll update that as we do more budget presentations. So that number will change throughout the months.
And I'll let you keep rolling with this one.
Yep. So we commonly hear the 4% rules. Districts can have more than 4%. Districts can have more than 4%. I kind of want to explain why that's not feasible. So for us, 4%, so it's based on the 4% is of your next year's budget. So calculating our budget that we're planning for this coming year, our 4% would be $656,000. I want to point out, we have no income over the summer. Taxes don't start till September 1st. Grant advances don't get paid until September, October timeframe. State aid doesn't start coming in until November. So what I have as of June 30th or July 1 is all I have. So if we only had that 4% fund balance, that presents a major cash flow problem. Our health insurance bill every single month is $320,000. If we do not pay that on time, we are fined 1% every day. So there's
Every day?
I believe it is. It's every day or every week. I know there's. I've never missed it, so I don't.
Yeah, please don't. It's not the goal.
Absolutely never missed that. Luckily, I share a wall with the Health Insurance Consortium too. So if they usually know if they don't have it, we have to pay by the 15th every month. If they don't have it by the 2nd of the month, I usually get a knock on my door because they know I'm never going to miss that. Payroll's a really hard one to estimate because of Oasis. So they have all that summer programming. So I said 180,000 is roughly what our payroll is over the summer, but it depends. Oasis really sways that. Having that program sways our payroll. BOCES is billed monthly. So we look 432,000 is roughly what our BOCES bill would be for July and August. And then accounts payable, just our regular bills, is about 240,000. So you add all that up, it is significantly above 4%. We only have one district in our entire BOCES that is below at or below the 4%. And they do not pay their BOCES bills over the summer. They only do payroll and health insurance. So they get hit with collection notices, they get hit with fines, and it's simply because they don't have the cash to do it. If they have to make that decision of paying their employees or paying their vendors. So it is a major, major problem. There's so many advocacy efforts about increasing the 4%. Our BOCES region, I believe, ranges from about high 2% is our lowest fund balance in the BOCES region, and the highest, I believe Putnam is at 112%. So they could not receive money for a full year and they'd be okay. They're also K6 and have 30 kids. So a little bit different situation. But just kind of wanted to touch on that 4%. Like it's a pain point for every district across the state that it is not feasible. And the other piece is there's nothing written into law about what the penalty is for being above 4% because everyone's above 4%. So that's kind of where we're at and why we approach fund balance carefully. It's not just a decision that's made lightly. It is because of cash flow.
Yeah, but then we move it out as soon as we get a chance to and we're caught up. We move it out and put it into reserves.
Yep. So this year we moved reserves in October. Typically we try and move reserves in June, which I believe would be the plan again this year. But I had to do it late last year just because of our audit. So that's why we did it a little bit later.
And what is it again this year with our proposed budget?
What is our
Fund balance?
I'm projecting 1.8 as of June 30th will be our total unallocated fund balance. Our reserves are significantly different though, but I think that's in later rate. We talk about reserves.
Thank you.
There you go.
And the reserves are here. I'll let you keep going with them.
So I did put the balance as of February 28th. Just because it's the most accurate. And then what I'm projecting for June 30th, when I say projecting, I'm looking at what's our average interest rate. So I did project our interest lower because we're seeing every single day the interest rates, well, they were dropping. Now I don't know where they stand. And then any usage between now and the end of the year. So retirement payouts, we are expecting to have 2 retirement payouts as of June 30th. And then you see tax tertiary, we did put dissolve by the end of the year, so that'll be a discussion at a later board meeting. There are very, very strict guidelines on a tax tertiary reserve. And one of the requirements, or the biggest requirement, is that we cannot have more in that reserve than our pending claims against the district. So I did contact the county to figure out what our pending claims were and was told, no idea. No one tracks that information. So I had to go through, I think I spent one night until about 3 o'clock in the morning, because it was a very cool website, just going through all the Essex County tax tertiary claims, and I really couldn't find anything. So when we get audited, I have nothing to prove why we have $246,000 in that reserve. So we would have to be in compliance by June 30th. We would have to dissolve that reserve. But I just put it up there because the decision has not been made about that yet. We don't know.
And I will say, we have had claims in the past. We have paid out some of those claims. And these are all like based on tax disputes, right?
Right, we just did recently. didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
We
this
do every year.
This school year.
So those are SCAR claims. So there's SCAR, those just go to when you fight your assessment, you fill out the form. Those refunds that we're doing are not necessarily tax tertiary claims are massive. Like some people, I was reviewing one the other day in a different district. They are fighting their assessment of $4 million to get it lowered to $735,000. That would be a massive claim against
Well,
us.
I immediately think of Essex Center because they fight all their bills every year.
Yeah.
And they have since they started.
So they can take it further and do a tax tertiary
Yeah.
claim, which is filed in Essex County Supreme Court.
Okay.
The SCAR ones are just handled really between the assessment, what is it, BAR, is it BAR?
Yep, Board of Assessment.
Those are just those are those little claims that we do every year. We budget for those just in case they happen. But yeah, the tax tertiary ones are really the big ones. But as of right now, it is not appearing that we have any open claims. Tax tertiary claims will stay open for 10 to 15 years before they're
Yeah, I
settled.
know there was one that carried over from pre-merger that they carried over. And I'm sure that's probably why there was money in that reserve. And then you of course try to set up for less than so that was probably whatever was left over, and then we just never moved it out,
But interest rates are remaining pretty strong, so we're doing pretty well the past couple months. So just kind of monitoring those. We do not touch our reserves. So some districts will take loans from their reserves to fix cash flow issues. We do not. Ours sit in that account and they do not move. So we collect every dime of interest that we can.
You're allowed to do that without a vote of the taxpayers? You're allowed to take a loan?
When I say a loan, it's meant like a month loan. Like you have a cash flow problem, you can do that. It has to have a board
Like to pay the
resolution.
BOCES
it's
bill in
like
the summer
you
or
count your
something.
money on April 1st and you take a loan and put it back before May 1st, before you count it again.
Correct. So it doesn't count as
Yeah, I was gonna
so
say.
using
Yeah,
the
no.
reserve.
It's kind of a loophole.
I really try
Yeah,
not
never
to.
done.
No, we don't need to.
Not in this district, never been a problem, so it's good.
I like how much the transportation and units went up, though.
Other than that, not a whole lot of updates. It looks like that the totals are not increasing that much, but that's due to that dissolving and just some other miscellaneous changes.
And how do you have the transportation jump up like 160,000?
Because that was a mistake.
Oh, okay.
That is because I
Okay,
took the tax tertiary out and I was like, oh, why am I not balancing? I kept looking and looking
Oh,
and
so you
looking.
split it.
I plugged it in there because I can't take it out.
Right.
I can't just dissolve a reserve without
Gotcha.
board approval. So we just had to plug it because we would have to have that discussion of where do we put that money.
Okay, that makes sense.
When
I
you
know what you
dissolve a
mean.
reserve, it goes to your unallocated fund balance.
Okay.
We don't necessarily want to increase our unallocated fund balance even more, so we would have to either, there really are no other reserves for us to create. We pretty much have them all. But all the reserves have very strict requirements. How much can you put in per year? How much can you take out per year? Like TRS and ERS is based on percentage of salaries that you can actually increase, or you can only put in 30,000 a year. There's so many different requirements. So we are
On our
working.
transportation and maintenance, is that 1 million or 10 million now? Or
Uh,
1 million, sorry.
the capital project one,
No, the capital project's 10, right?
how much is in it?
No, what's the
Oh, the
limit
maximum? I believe it is 10 on that one.
in the transportation? Do we have?
I believe they were matched because they're both technically a capital reserve. They're the same reserve. The state doesn't have a transportation and maintenance reserve. They have a capital reserve, but you can do like sub accounts. That, for example, retirement, there's a retirement reserve. There's not an ERS or a TRS reserve. There's an
Yeah.
ERS or TRS sub
Okay.
reserve.
Like the capital, that would be like any acquisition that you would consider. an
You can do
asset.
that. Any equipment purchases fall under that. The state actually just changed the equipment threshold again. Found that out today when I was filling out a form. I had to call a couple other business officials. So now equipment is anything above $10,000. It used to be 5, which is actually very nice on the asset collection. We have to track every purchase over those thresholds and we have to depreciate it. And there's a whole lot of math involved in that. So that's actually a welcomed change. It's the $10,000 move. I don't.
Okay. Did that, so I put on here the veteran exemption discussion only because we had planned to talk about that as a proposition. Just for the public that's here, I'll just share that we recently found out, our plan was to put this out to the public for a vote about the veterans exemption. And we recently learned that that's not something that we are permitted to do, that needs to be a board vote, not a public vote. So we plan to continue those discussions at our regular meeting and find a path forward from there. So our propositions will look like, the proposition 1 is always the budget. And as you've seen, and we got tax levy at the tax cap. Proposition 2 would be the Board of Education member elections. And then Proposition 3, the bus and van purchase, and again, coming out of the reserve. Proposition 4, truck and tractor purchase, coming out of the reserve. And then 5, the library. And since we've added some, these numbers may change a little bit. And then so officially, and feel free to correct me, but we've just added 3
Not yet.
Not yet. No.
So we started that process.
Okay, so, okay.
Yeah.
So at a subsequent meeting, we could potentially add
Right.
3 if we decided to do that.
Mhm.
Great, okay.
Can I backtrack a little bit and ask Hayden some questions?
Yes.
Okay, Hayden, have you had an opportunity to view that long-term financial analysis by Dr. Timms?
I do it. I give all the numbers to him. That's the spreadsheet. I'm the one who has to do it.
And what was your initial reaction to his?
Okay, so we're.
We're actually gonna go through it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so, again, I said the same thing, Hayden, jump in, I'll turn it over to you if needed, and feel free to ask questions here. So, the key takeaways from the financial analysis, going through here, so the purpose is to review the long-term financial trends and plan. Okay, the analysis shows the projected expenses, and it shows that those projected expenses grow faster than the revenues over time, which is common across New York State. But the reason that it does that is that those projections assume that no changes are being made. As Hayden mentioned, he's tweaking things all the time. He's gonna, tweak things between now and June. We tweak things every month. So you're making little changes as we go. And that affects staffing, programming, and expenses. But these adjustments are made every year. So of course, it's not like we say, okay, well, health insurance is going up by 3%. Let's not do anything about that. We look at that and say, okay, well, where are we going to get that 3% from? And so we make decisions and figure out how to do that. But Boquet Valley has remained financially stable since the merger and continues to plan for the future. And I want to say this as I'm going through some of these slides. So we have 3 districts, and I'm not saying this in like calling out districts, but we have a district who earlier this week put something out that they need to cut $3.3 million in their budget. Another district for the 3rd consecutive year is cutting $1.5 million. Another one is going out over the tax cap to try to cover 2 point something million there. Another district is also going out over the cap. That's to cover these things because they used a lot of that COVID money to help fill some of those gaps and didn't necessarily make some of the decisions that we have made, that we have tweaked. Now, can I sit here and say that in 10 or 15 or 20 years that we're not going to, that we're going to look exactly like we are now? Of course we're not. Of course we're not, because we're making these little changes. So I don't want, like we're not walking around like fanning our $100 bills or anything, but we're doing okay. We're in a good spot because of this planning we've done. So the Board of Education controls only one revenue source, the local tax levy, which is a little more than half of our revenues, right? We don't control foundation aid increases or safe harmless formula, expense-based aids, reorganization aid, federal aid, the electric bus mandate, none of that. You have no control over any of that. So what can you do with the local tax levy? We set the levy at the cap, control expenses, we adjust staffing through attrition, build and maintain our reserves. We have long-range capital and equipment planning, and this multi-year financial planning. Those are all things that we have actively been doing since we merged. But the long-range financial projections show those budget gaps because they assume that there's no staffing changes, they assume that there's no program changes, they assume that there's no expense reductions, and they assume that there's no operational adjustments. But that's just not true. Like, we do all those things, right? We're constantly doing all those things. Also, when we budget for our retiring teachers, when we budget to replace those, we are very conservative in that budget, and we may not, match the retiree step that they're on, but we're not budgeting for a step 1 teacher to come in. We budget for more, and then for all those positions, we try to hire for less. But then for our revenue planning, right? So when we're talking about a budget for not 26, 27, but for 27, 28, we are assuming that we're getting $0 increase in that foundation aid number. any dollar in foundation aid that we get is $1 more than we expect to get. That is about as conservative as you can plan for. I am expecting, I would be shocked that if in my career, I have 10 years until I can retire, that we don't see a change to safe harmless. This is that we're talking 2/3 of the district in the state are on safe harmless. That has to change. It just doesn't make sense. What is that going to do to our district? I have no idea. And anyone who says they have a clue of how it's going to affect our district, they don't know what they're talking about. But that will change. I have no idea how it's going to change. What we do know is that our reorganization aid is going to decrease by $65,784 per year. We have put every single dollar of that in reserves since we've merged and then some. That total of $6 million that we're getting for merging, we have already put that amount into reserves.
Even though it's decreasing, how many more years do we have for it?
So we're budgeting for year 8 and year 14 is the last, like in year, I think I said this last time, is that they'll tell you it decreases over 15 years and that's not a fair statement because in year 15 you get $0.
Right.
So yeah.
Do you know, like, estimated what we've received so far? Would you take the 8 years and times it by the 65 or? No, because it would have been higher.
No, yeah, I can tell you, not right this second,
Okay.
I can tell you.
So we haven't used any of our merger aid for any portion of our budget since we've been starting to get it.
Correct. It's a one-time fund, so it's difficult to use it because it's
You know you're
it's a
gonna use it.
non-renewable cost. So it's like using a grant
Yeah,
to hire someone.
and I know that I said this, but I want to just say this again, that we are the last district in the state to merge under the old formula. Okay, so the 31st, was that next Tuesday?
Yes.
Troy and Whitesville vote to merge, and if they merge, they get $242 million. $242 million, that's so much money. We got $6 million, okay? So.
Oh, I don't want to hear that.
Can we unmerge and then remerge?
I'll make it worse if you want. Winesville is a K-8 district, they have 240 students.
Oh,
Troy can absorb them. So they said it'll take them about 3 days to absorb the students and need to hire 0 people. So yeah, ruminate on that a little bit.
And we're not willing to,
oh my God.
have you tried to say, wait a minute,
Oh, you can't.
Listen,
we're the last one, so can't we get a portion of that?
Okay, so
Yeah, right?
I sat in the commissioner's office
Oh my
and
God.
told her that she did not give us enough money. And I don't know if this is, so I gave a list of, I don't know, I'm gonna say 10 to 15 things that they should have done differently. They are doing nearly all of those things now. And I don't know if it's a compliment or an insult because we didn't get any money. We didn't get any additional money. So, I don't know. But yes, I've done a lot of the things. We need to move on.
Okay, can I just ask one more question? Which ESSER funded positions or programs are now in the general fund? Are we?
We did
those are
not
ones
hire
from
positions.
COVID, right?
Yep, so we did not hire any positions that have been added since 2020 were not funded with those funds.
They were not,
Because,
okay.
and you will see the districts that are having the financial troubles right now are the ones that use
That
those
did.
funds to hire.
All right, that was one of
Those
my
districts are
questions.
also have historically not gone at the cap.
So
Okay.
if you look at it, so things that we have done, right, so we've reduced through attrition, right? And it's up here later, but we've attrition 10 positions since we've merged. We also reorganized the buildings to improve efficiency. If you remember in year 1, this was not the setup,
Mhm.
right? By putting pre-K 5 together and 6-12 together, we are operating significantly more efficiently. And you can see that we put more in reserves in the year since making that move. That was a huge move for us. And we did that, we realized early on that we could be more efficient. And that also significantly reduced travel time between buildings, which again it saves us money. have been, really since we merged, have been planning a capital project to bring all students to one campus, which I can only imagine will make us operate even more efficiently. We aggressively use BOCES services. And I also want to say that the staffing reductions that we did make through attrition had minimal impact on students. I don't believe that in doing that, we lost very much programming at all. And over the last 5 years or so, our enrollment has been relatively stable. So we have been doing that right sizing that Dr. Tim's talked about. We've been doing that since we merged. But you look at our fund balance, approximately at 8 to 10%. Hayden just talked about why. Our reserves are approximately at 52% of the annual budget. I do not think there's a district in the state that would not trade that number with us. That is, it is probably, if it is not the thing I am the single most proud of as a superintendent of a merged district, it is up there. It is an incredible number. Forget about the percentage. There are districts with budgets significantly larger than ours that don't have anywhere near $8.5 million in their reserves. But it's all because of planning. And none of it happened immediately. We've been able to do this year after year after year because of planning. And again, we talked about this last time, but I want to say this again to the board that we have been dumping money into the reserves and really targeting capital reserve really hard and the transportation reserve, knowing that we're purchasing buses and the electric bus mandate and all that. We are probably due, and I'm going to say after the capital project vote, when we know what that future looks like, of saying, okay, we need to be a little more intentional about these reserves and what do we want to do with these reserves. But right now, it's just throw as much money as we can really in these spots and then fund the other ones a bit. But school districts generally fall in 3 categories. Districts that cannot balance their budgets, districts that rely on fund balance to balance their budgets, which, by the way, this is a common practice, probably happening all across the state this year. We have never used $1 of fund balance to balance our reserves. I will go this far in saying there's not a district in the state that can say that. And districts that balance their budgets with recurring revenue and long-range planning. And that is the category that we're in. We are absolutely financially stable. And we are financially stable because we have been following the recommendations from the financial advisor. We've been working with Dr. Timms for a long time now, since year 1, and we've been doing all these things. All these things on the list, all these recommendations, we have been doing every single one of these things. And that's why we're in the shape that we're in. But we do have these long-term plans. We've been putting money away. We've been following all of the recommendations.
Now, we do have several retirements this year. Were you able to eliminate any through attrition for the upcoming year?
So the retirements that we have music, a PE, and foreign language. And so we do not believe that we can attrition any of those positions. We are expecting a couple resignations that I'm going to go as far as saying were unexpected, and I believe those will be on the April agenda. I have not gotten a letter yet, just they were gracious enough to have a conversation with me, so wonderful. And I think that perhaps one of those positions, maybe, but we need to work it out. Some of that is easier said than done. Potentially. But again, if we can get to one campus, then I do think that there's more of an opportunity for attrition. But 10 positions to attrition, that's not nothing. That's a lot. And some of those happen quickly, and others, have been slowly, but we're up to 10, and that's great. So again, the recommendations from Dr. Timms, we're following the recommendations. That's why we're in the position that we're in. And I am I couldn't be happier with where the district's finances are.
And Hayden, you're in agreement with that?
Absolutely. I now oversee the business operations for 6 school districts. And this is probably the only district that I inherited a long-range financial plan. It is not common for them to have that or do that. So
Right.
100% agree.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Now, this is a tough question to answer probably without it being an opinion, but as the incentive aid runs out, and I totally agree with everything that was already said. Like, one of my concerns is, we're doing the right things with our fund balances. It feels like the majority of that is coming from that incentive aid. And there will be a time, especially since a lot of it has gone into the capital fund balance, where we're gonna have to call upon that. And it will be what's best for the district. But as that dwindles, do you feel like are we relying heavily on that at this point? If you took that away today, said we have no incentive aid, then what does our fiscal status look like?
I would say it is still fairly stable. So what we look at when I'm analyzing those types of things is I'm looking at how much can we get in reserves to maximize interest.
Right.
So really, I treat fund balance and reserves kind of like a retirement account. That the interest that is gained is replacing what we're losing each year. So we're losing $65,000 a year on that. Our interest is growing though, because we have so much money in reserve. So that's the point of replacing it. But also,
But it's still
the fact that we're not
120 or something like that, right? Our interest.
that's what we budget for. We see it changes at the end of it, or it's in our audit report exactly how much we get. It is typically a little bit higher than that. But the fact that we have not touched it means that we're just not using it. So it's okay. If that were removed tomorrow, we are still in a financially stable position. If they just
And
said
it feels like it right now because I believe we are putting more in our fund balance, or I'm sorry, more in our,
Reserves.
yes, in our reserves
Mhm.
than what we're receiving for incentive aid, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of those things. So,
We all know it's only gonna get worse year over year. I mean.
and it's something that you plan for though. So we see districts that if they don't have that long range financial plan, they don't go at the cap, they don't have those reserves, they hit that clip. It might not be next year. Typically budget decisions that are made now, tax cap decisions that are made now, they don't affect us next year. They don't affect us in 5 years. They affect us in 10, 15 years because it catches up. You go under the cap to save, $50,000. Well,
Compound.
now, next year, our tax cap is based on the $50,000 less. So we're not capitalizing, we're not able to grow that revenue. But the financial situation of this district is not what we're seeing where everyone else is.
And the other thing while I of course would have liked for us to have a capital building solution sooner than that, I think that the timing might really work out nicely. Like in year 14, we're only getting 65,000, in year 13, only 130,000. Well, that's still money, it's all money, right? But that's not a huge amount of money. So in those years when it's not like a massive amount of money, you get to one campus, we're going to see those efficiencies. And it's going to, I think it's going to feel like we're getting incentive.
Year one would be a whole new baseline. And
Yeah.
Your fuel costs, your
Almost.
electricity costs, your
Your
transportation
overtime
costs,
costs,
everything. And not let alone the attrition you start to realize afterwards.
Attrition is really important too, just because, so you mentioned 10 positions. In annual costs, that's probably a savings of about $1.5 to $2 million
Right.
salary benefit, we pay, I mean, ERS is 17% of the salary now. That's a lot. You're not paying health insurance, and health insurance is not a year-to-year cost. We have retirees in the health insurance consortium that have been retired significantly longer than they've worked. So health insurance doesn't end when someone retires. It continues in sometimes 40, 50 years. So that's why attrition is incredibly important, because if it's through attrition, it stops. So a lot of people say, oh, you know, a high earning teacher is retiring. We're only saving on the salary though, because we have to keep their health insurance, or we may net zero on a retirement because they have a family health plan and we're replacing it with someone who also has a family health plan. But health insurance is not one of those things there's a lot of math involved in the health insurance world. That's basically what I'm getting at.
And the other thing too that I will say, because I think he's involved in this as well, that so 8 years ago when I started the health insurance consortium, that was the Wild West. I mean, it was, all I can say is that it was just out of control there. But now they have a whole, how many people are in that office now?
Enough that I'm losing mine and being kicked out.
Yeah, I mean, they have a dozen-ish or any.
I believe we're at 6 right now, and I believe there's 2 additional positions that we're going to be posted.
So this is for the health insurance office that 8 years ago had 0 employees in the office, right? It was, and it was part of Christine, like
It was
like
Christine.
1/10 of her, whatever. And now it's a legitimate, I mean, it's a $100 million organization, and it is now run like a $100 million organization. And I say that I think it was the year before I started, or maybe 2 years before I started, there was a mid-year increase to health insurance because they were out of money. Not out of money like, oh, we might run out of money, like they were out of money in the middle of the year. And now they have $100 million, all because of me and Hayden. No, but again, like, but it was the
99% you, 1%.
Yes.
I'm the emotional support in that office, because you can imagine how many, I mean, I think we're 13,000 lives are covered under our health insurance plans, the amount of calls they get per day, the amount of times that they get screamed at, all the stuff going on. So I'm just the emotional support.
But my point is
Chocolate
that
help.
That's important.
it's now being run like a $100 million business,
Yeah.
and they are investing that $100 million just like we are investing our reserves. And so it's good, and I think ultimately going to make those costs as stable as they can be. Our neighbors at FEH at 20% this year,
I
22,
believe they're 20%.
they had a 20% increase this year on health insurance. We had 3.
We had 3 and zeros, which
Yeah.
was to see 0 increase year over year. We're sending out memos to retirees tomorrow, and I'm sure it's going to make some people very, very happy to see nothing
Got my
change.
answer, John.
So they've done a lot of work, and it is the most streamlined operation I have ever seen. I would say the work that has been done in that consortium is absolutely insane.
Okay, I think the last thing I have for you, upcoming meetings. So we are still, like I said, awaiting a New York State approved budget. Those should be the only real changes that you're seeing on our end, would be if something happens in that agreed budget that was well outside the scope of what we've been talking about. And, you know, but like I said, if any changes, we'll certainly let you know that. And then during the month of April, we do need to approve a budget to give to the taxpayers.
Okay, that's it. Anyone else have any questions for Hayden or Dr. Meyer?
Thank you, Hayden.
Yes, thank you, Hayden. Thank you, Dr. Meyer. We do have to approve our propositions. So 7A, do I have a motion to approve items 7A through D1?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Paige, and a second.
I'll
Could I
second.
have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. And any discussion?
I have a question. I don't know if Bob's not here, but I don't know if you've got the answer. We just got a plow truck last year, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And when did we get the tractor? Was that 2 years ago?
No, that was also last year.
That was also last year.
So we have a replacement plan on all vehicles, tractors, trucks, vans, buses, and.
Because I know I'm gonna be asked by the district, is this something that's gonna continue, like a new plow truck every year and a tractor every year? And
We have a replacement plan. So so far, I went back
It's
and,
on different campuses, right?
correct, yeah, the plow truck was purchased for one. Now it's time for the next one. Same thing with the tractor.
Good question, because, I mean, the district needs a plan, and, you know, what's the useful life of those, and where's the best value, and when you get rid of one and replace it. But I assume we've looked at that, and then we also look for those opportunities to spread it out, so it's not too many in 1 year, right?
I mean, we put the truck out last year. We got I thought, a good price for it at
Yeah.
Auctions International.
Yeah, so we're required to bid them. And typically I've seen some pretty good bid we were expecting on the van too, for that to be about $10,000 more than it came in at.
Why didn't catch the van?
believe
I
the
do
van-
know why we would need a new van, because we do have a lot of single transportation. And I know that just from when I'm traveling around, I see it.
Yep, it actually goes
So
right by my
yeah.
office window every day.
And I don't think that, like, the public has noticed it. So I think the public will understand the van.
Yep, and actually, the truck that we replaced last year, it was the highest I have ever seen an auction go. I believe it was 25,000 is what we got for the truck that we replaced. And typically, I mean, on a bus, we get like $1,000 or $2,000. So it was pretty substantial.
Yeah.
The auctions have been really good. So it's not like we just dispose of it or
That
drive.
was the 2018.
So it was pretty.
Yeah, I watched it
significant.
because I kind of thought about bidding on it. Then I was like, okay, it's out of my price
Yeah,
range.
then it kept going up. I was watching it too, just to see it.
Yeah.
Was not expecting that.
Are there any other questions? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Number 8, our next meeting. Regular meeting will be on Thursday, April 16th, 2026, 6 p.m. at the Mountain View campus. And B, a special meeting will be held Tuesday, April 28th. Time will be to be announced at the Mountain View campus.
That's
Okay.
Yep.
The second one is for the BOCES board approval, BOCES board member.
In the budget.
And the budget.
In the
Oh,
budget, yeah.
and is that usually done during the day or is that in the evening?
We've done it at any time. During the days, I mean, really, I don't even think we need chairs for the meeting. It usually is, you know,
I look back,
yeah.
it was 3 minutes last year.
Right.
It's been 4 minutes in
I
the
remember
past.
it being during the day
Yeah.
last
So
We really just-
For that
90
reason.
seconds or bus.
Yeah, for that reason, we typically try to do it during the day. If that, you know, really whenever we can convene, four of them together. Can I just say one other thing about electric buses that I don't know why I didn't put it in my presentation. I'll be quick. It did come up, the legislature shot it down about delaying the electric bus timeline, which, repealing the electric bus timeline. They are now trying to delay that timeline, but,
Then they also proposed, after it was shut down, it's included in their budget to now incentivize bus garages and charging stations. So it was kind of it was a little odd.
yeah, so
we got some
I
sides.
think
They're
that.
gonna offer money?
It's in
Yeah,
their proposal.
it's in the proposal we talked
Yes, some of the
earlier,
incentives.
I thought that was
The
on.
NYSERDA is going to do our study at no cost,
Oh,
which is great. But I did want to say that just about the electric buses, and maybe it was wishful thinking, I didn't think so, being that I have not heard anyone in the state saying, no problem, we got this, you know, so,
There was a district that had a discussion, they get the bare minimum transportation aid. They've discussed just ignoring it because they get bare minimum aid, so there's no loss to them to not buy an electric bus. Because you can still buy them, you're forfeiting your aid on them. So,
and on the miles too.
yeah, and you're forfeiting for a district that gets no aid.
Well, with the big cost difference, even a district with aid, it may actually
Yeah.
be cheaper to buy.
I'm curious what
Maybe
the
that's what
insurance
state
claim
thought.
was in Vermont the other.
I know.
Oh, my
Couple weeks
goodness,
ago.
yeah.
The delay?
No,
About
but
the
we will
insurance
apply in a
for the
year.
fall.
that's
If we would have
right.
applied, it would have,
Right.
we have another year to apply.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll wait till the last year to apply,
I believe you get 2 waivers too, right?
Or
You can do
hope
it next
that
month,
they
too.
change
Yeah.
it.
Okay, number 8, executive session. Specifically, the board anticipates entering into executive session for the following reason. A, number 6, to discuss the medical, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person or persons. Do I have a motion to enter into executive session to discuss items 8A? Item 8A.
I'll motion.
Thank you, Paige. Second?
A second.
Thank you, Deb. Any discussion on this? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Now, no action will be taken after the executive meeting, and it is expected to be quite lengthy. So I want to thank you all for attending our budget meeting, and have a good night.